Boom. And we're live.
Hello.
Hello. So today we have Zenith with us. Say hello to Zenith, or otherwise known as Safe.
Yeah.
How are you today, man?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm really glad you've reached out, and I'm really happy to go ahead and actually have a really nice conversation about Unite and about all the things going on in Ingage as well.
Cool, man. Cool. So I guess this whole thing started, this podcast, Elite Encounter, started when I started getting more involved in Fight Club, which was kind of spearheaded by Yashi. But now it's known as the Ingage Fight Club. And you're the one in charge of Ingage. How did that come about?
Okay, well, Ingage started out in early 2024. I guess it came from my observations around esports, and I really looked at all the gaps within esports. I looked at I saw many gaps, and I thought, let me fill as many of these as possible. And a lot of it was community based, some of it is structurally based. And Pokemon Unite came about as our launch game because it was so new, and the scene just needed to kind of, especially in Europe, it just needed some more structure and a little bit of clever project management, I reckon. And that's where we started from. We actually started off in Asia before anything. I worked with large numbers and then brought it over to the rest of the other regions. But as an idea, Ingage started in 2024. We developed, hosted over 100 tournaments in the space of a year and a half. And then we developed other arms of the company, from our website to our app to our marketing to our business model itself, which we could talk about later, as well as to the team. And I think a big part of Ingage is the team that we have.
Yeah, super cool, man. I guess maybe I should also give a little bit of background about who you are. So you sent me a message earlier with a little bit of an intro, and so you grew up in East London. You're born and raised in East London. And you're an esports entrepreneur, which is super interesting, a history specialist and teacher, and a community leader. So with Ingage, you're looking to connect people in Pokemon Unite from various regions in the world. But the one you're doing now focuses in EU, right?
So the one that is been currently going on for the last 2 weeks is EU based. EU, of course, has a special place in my heart when it comes to Pokemon Unite. Maybe because of the encounters and experiences I've had with EU players when they come down for the championship in London. I was watching one of your podcasts earlier with Tano, and you spoke a little bit about London. He spoke about Leeds, and he mentioned something about not many people liking London. I understand the perspective. I really get it. I was born and raised there. It is basically, it's built me to where I am right now. And I think it has this kind of entrepreneurial spirit in the city that, really vibed with me. But I fully understand what people say and think. And I just think you just got to utilize it for what you need to utilize it. It's a city there with opportunities, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think I might have mentioned it in that podcast with him as well. But essentially, there's like this vibe I get when you're like big city vibe or like not big city vibe.
yeah, that's basically it. And Leeds isn't too far in terms of getting there as well as a big city. It's
yeah, but it's not the capital city.
That's the thing. Like London will always be just London for its capital. But yeah, there's a good few places to visit in the UK that is interesting. But look, the championships are in London, right?
Yeah, they are. But yeah, back to Ingage. You started first with an app and then a website in order to kind of get people together. And I guess the idea is to bring more structure and routine and to kind of help people get connected, to lift that competitiveness to these regions. And you said it's been going on for about 2 weeks so far in the EU, right?
For Europe, it's been about over 2 weeks now. Yeah.
Has it been good so far?
Yeah, I mean, considering that last year from now we started doing the EU Weeklies, which was a collaboration with the French community of Pokemon Unite players. We went on to do 37 or 38 weeks of consistent back-to-back tournaments with them, whilst doing tournaments in Asia, whilst running our own tournaments, eventually leading into the Ingage Master Series as well. So it was it's not that we haven't done it before. We've done it, but we're just coming back bigger, stronger, and better as well. So hopefully it's going well. A lot of people have taken well to it. I mean, what's your view on it? How have you found the production and the streaming and everything so far?
I think it's amazing, man. Like literally a day before Yashi invited me into the fight club, I was actually thinking, man, there needs to be something more, somewhere where I can like find people who are actually using voice chat to communicate and actually coordinate as a team, where I can practice with players who are actually trying to be competitive. And like, I don't know, man, I just manifested this reality. I got a message from him on Discord and poof, there you go. Nice. And now with Ingage, it's even nicer because there's more organized like tournaments, and the streaming is super cool. You guys have casters, and that really brings it to another level. That's like, it really is next level.
Yeah, it's an elevation, but I think what it goes back to, and a lot of what our work centers around as well. I was reading this post on LinkedIn, and it basically said that the esports space is not what it used to be, in the sense where companies that develop these games, they shouldn't be targeting or making a game that is just wholly set on the game itself and ignores the community. And it's often that the best community spaces, that's where the esport players are resonating and moving towards and gravitating towards. And that was so true, because I realized that even with Pokemon Unite, if you can make the environment and the scene itself, the competitiveness of it all, if you can make it safe and engaging and exciting, then you'll capture whatever you need. And that's something that I think game developers need to keep in mind as well, and that's something that is where essentially all your feedback and everything comes from. I guess that's why they started this whole community ambassador program, because they understood it as well.
Yeah, and if you look back at the history of this genre, actually at the MOBA genre, it kind of appeared from the community, because it originally, the MOBA genre started with StarCraft, but it didn't really catch on until Warcraft, and it was a custom map. So it was literally made by the community, updated by the community, and then this genre evolved. Developers made like standalone games for it, and fast forward to where we are today, there's like, I don't know, 10 different MOBA games at least, and Unite is, I guess, one of the more recent ones with Pokemon.
Yeah, I'm so glad as well. I really enjoyed the game, truly.
Yeah, actually, I'm curious about that. So what brought you to Unite, actually, rather than other games? Like, are you committed only to Unite, or do you also dabble with other games at the moment?
Yeah, that's a really good question. For me personally, I have been involved with Pokemon before I took a little bit of a gap in between for my studies. I was involved in the era before VGC. So we're talking about Smogon, Maryland, Cerebi, like very, very old communities that were there. Some of them are still thriving and doing really well. And from there, Pokemon Unite came out. I was straight on to the game itself. Really enjoyed playing it for a bit, and then I packed up my bags and I left the UK and I went to teach in the Middle East. And when I got to the Middle East, I had to settle there. That took a bit of time. So there was a bit of time away from Pokemon Unite during that time. And that's when I started to connect with people in the Middle East and Asia that were loving the game. We built our first community. In fact, the server that we have currently right now for Engage Pokemon Unite server is an old server that we use for Middle Eastern players and South Asian players. So they were already competitive. We were running tournaments on that, and we just changed that and basically brought in a few more people, and then suddenly the audience grew, and we went from there. So yeah, that's basically it.
So they're the OGs.
Yeah.
So did you have like,
from my perspective, yeah.
So did you have MOBA experience before you came into Unite, or is that something you got started in when Unite came out?
I've always been interested in other types of games. I was very, very big when it came to Super Smash Bros. When it came to MOBA, I knew of the existence of it, League of Legends and so on, but I never really found myself playing it because I just wanted it, like handheld was just great for me. Even on the Switch, that was great for me. I didn't really see any games that were like that was accessible in the same way.
Yeah.
And that's what interested me to Unite's MOBA.
Yeah, same with me, to be honest. I started traveling a lot more, like living the digital nomad lifestyle. I prefer slow traveling to be the term. But the mobile first perspective really helped me because I like to be a minimalist. I don't have to carry around a Switch or anything else. And to be honest, this genre doesn't need a mouse and keyboard. It's kind of an antiquated way of playing it just because it came about through a strategy game. So anyway, but you said you teach. I want to talk a little bit about yourself. What is it that you do before we jump into Engage and stuff like that? Tell me a little bit more about like what you do outside of that. Like, what do you teach? What do you do? What are you studying?
I think there's a good bit to share, and I'm sure little bits of it will be helpful for people to listen to as well. But I'll start with my routine and how it fits with what I do, which is of course teaching as well. So for the past year and a half, and maybe year and 10, 11 months, I've been working on Engage whilst working professionally full time, whilst also raising my daughter, who was born at the same time Engage was born. So it was all happening all at the same time. So my daily routine is usually I wake up around 6:30 a.m. and I get ready and I head to work. I get my daughter into school, head to work. I come back from work. It's around 4 or 5 o'clock. From about 5 o'clock to 8, 9 p.m. I'm family guy, spending all my time with my daughter during that time period until she goes to sleep. From 9 or 8 p.m. to 12, 1 a.m., that's my Engage time. That is essentially me running
so that
business.
means you get like 5 hours of sleep a night?
Every day.
What? That's
Every day
crazy,
for the past almost 2 years, which is... I know why I'm doing it. I know the importance of what I'm doing. I know that this isn't just about one game. I know you mentioned, does Engage just do Pokemon Unite? It's not just about Pokemon Unite, and it's not just about a game itself. It's about building something that you can build and take your team with you to change their lives. And I'm very straightforward and dead straight on this, which is this is supposed to be a project that is life-changing, not a project that I'm just wasting my time on. So when it comes to any project that I do, when it comes to money-related stuff, when it comes to business, it's something that I take quite seriously because I want to retire myself from teaching. And
what is it that you teach exactly?
I teach history.
Okay.
I teach history, and imagine my mode of thinking is, in order for me to retire myself from teaching, I need to change the lives of 10 people on my team. That's my mentality. If 10 people are in a better place in life, automatically the system will make it so that I'd benefit by default. But my aim isn't to make myself benefit, it's to raise my people.
That's really deep, man. Like, I agree with a lot of what you're saying, and it aligns a lot with what, like, the way that I do things as well, which is also why I started this podcast, because I think like it's a mutual thing. It's a win-win situation where, you know, it's literally just a conversation with people, but it's a really good way to connect with people and to kind of showcase like a different way of like showing ourselves to the community. Because, you know, gamers, they don't tend to, they be a little bit more reserved. They don't tend to be outspoken and that sort of stuff. But
yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is, especially going back to teaching, it's the way I see sometimes some of the students in my school. Not everyone can access education in the same way. Some people access certain information in different ways, and gaming becomes a gateway to be able to learn certain skills that would have otherwise been lost in theory and lost in paper. Right. And maybe they don't get enough practice with it. So esports does have that big hold, and education, I think, plays a very big part if it goes alongside esports, which I'm hoping, fingers crossed, within the next 5 years, that would be a big part of the UK's curriculum as well.
Well, who knows, man? I have this opinion on artificial intelligence that maybe it's going to, you know, take everything by storm and flip everything upside down. So that's another bag.
I mean, even with AI, it is being brought into the curriculum in some countries. It's already there in China, where 5-6-year-olds are learning how to use AI. You know, so it's there, and look, there's a lot of benefits. Even when it comes to esports, there's a lot of.
Sorry, I think you cut off there for a second. You said there's a lot of benefits.
Yeah, there's a lot of benefits for even young people that delve into esports as a bit of work experience or a bit of an actual job as well. And I think esports is an easy industry to get back from, if that makes sense. You could take a lot from esports, and it's so brand new as a whole industry that everyone's open to giving as well. So you just got to kind of keep yourself open, work hard, and receive.
Yeah, definitely. I think there are a good amount of transferable skills. I was talking to Niha about this because he does sales. I do sales as well. I mean, I also teach English, but part of the teaching that I do, it's like also like a freelance teaching type of thing. It's not like a full-time employment like you're doing. And the first lesson is essentially a sales pitch. I give like a free lesson, and I have to convert them into becoming a regular student. So sales is also something I do, and I've done also other sales jobs. And I think the competitive spirit of like, especially team-based games and competitive games, it transfers to sales because you have to be very competitive in sales. That's like, it's part of the nature. You have to make the deal. You have to close the deal. And I think that's one part of the transferable skills. There's other ones too, as well.
I think an interesting skill point there is the art of dealing with rejection.
Yes.
And it happens in the game as well.
Yes, I think that's huge. A lot of people underestimate that. That's another thing I really like is board games. And I love playing board games because you have to understand what it's like to lose. And most games, there's only like one winner and 3 losers or whatever. And it teaches you a lot about a person because not only are you playing face to face, but you're seeing how they think, how they react, how they handle rejection or failure.
Yeah, I mean, try playing a game of Risk with us. Risk is one of my favorite board games, but it brings out so much of a person's human nature.
Risk is it's okay as a game, but there are so many other board games out there nowadays that are way better than Risk. So if we ever get a chance to play a board game, I will enlighten you.
No worries. I'm sure there's loads that I haven't actually had the opportunity for, but for me, it's just a very OG game. But
it is, yeah.
I'm sure there is.
So I want to go back to Ingage now because I want to make sure we have enough time for that. So you kind of gave the backstory. You originally started in India. You were teaching there, you said, right?
No. Originally, we started growing with a South Asian audience.
So no, I mean, like you went to India to teach, right? Or
no, I went to
Middle
Qatar.
East.
I went to the Middle East. Yeah.
The Middle East.
So I went to Qatar to teach there, and they were running. It's crazy because you see the way they were running esports there. You have the big arenas if you really wanted to take it into the big arenas, but then you also have the localized tournaments, right? And the localized tournaments, which would have maybe occurred in a cafe in the UK or in someone's house, even. It was done in someone's house, but that house was a palace. So esports was like lavish when I was there. I was just like, wow. And everyone treats you well. You go in there, they've got waiters and stuff. Can you imagine you go in for an esport tournament and there's a waiter there? There's staff there, there's butlers there, there's people there that are there to support you while you're a random person that's just walked in to play esports. And that was with Super Smash Bros.
I got really into Super Smash Bros. As well back when it was Melee, and then when it appeared on the Switch. I never really competed too hardcore, but I got really good, decently good with the game. But I never really liked Melee because there was so much like really fine movements and stuff you had to do. What was that, wave dashing? Yeah, I was just like, that's too much for me. You're gonna get like arthritis.
It's a party game, right? But lockdown and COVID really boosted that scene. That scene really went up during that time, as did most esports scenes.
Yeah, definitely. So what are like the main aspects when it comes to Ingage, like the core vision or the main ethics? What do you think is the main thing there?
I think one of the areas that I really wanted to make sure we get ourselves out there and showcase was integrity. I was hearing so many stories about esports tournaments organizers, influencers or content creators running tournaments and either delaying the prize pool money being transferred to players or not paying them at all. And I hated that. I hated hearing it. I hate the very idea that people could think about esports in such a way. And I thought, whatever I'm going to do, I want to change that kind of reputation that esports has with that. So when it comes to money and these kind of things where Ingage is directly involved, we and the audience and everyone knows that's ever taken part in any Ingage tournament, it's very, very clear when it comes to money integrity. We just pay up straight up within the first few days, and we keep people happy. So that's a key vision and ethos for us. Of course, being a teacher coming from a background of safeguarding, I do think education and safety is a very key part of esports, and I want to make it a key part of Ingage as well. We have certain tolerances, we don't have certain tolerances when it comes to discrimination and various of any kind. But I also think something that you might relate with quite a bit as well. But growing up, we never had a previous generation that were able to guide us through the sport industry. or guide us through games. My parents didn't. I don't know if your parents did, but most people don't have that because it never really existed like that. We are living at a point where we're at an age where we can teach our children how the best way to go around esports is safely and to enjoy it in the same way, without the toxicity, without the misbehavior online, without all of these things. And of course, the games have made it safer than it ever was before. But I think that's a very big part of our ethos as well.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, I think it's also part of the nature of these games because when you're competitive, it can get quite emotional. And I feel like people are more likely to kind of react emotionally, to say things maybe they don't mean, and to kind of be harsh. So I think part of it is what you mentioned with education. Like, people need to understand how to handle it, maybe how to kind of communicate in a specific way when they are very emotional. And also just understand, like, there's things you can do outside of the game, outside of competing and outside of playing, that will actually contribute a lot to your experience and how you handle these things, because that, I feel like a lot of players neglect certain things. They neglect the human machine. Maybe they don't exercise enough, they don't eat right, they don't pay attention to their, you know, mental overall. I'm a super big fan of like self-development stuff. I write in a journal every day. I do a lot of self-reflection in various ways. Also, I exercise a lot. I mean, maybe it's the teaching part that you're familiar with, but it's a huge part.
Yeah, no, it's a huge part of everyone's lifestyle. Gaming's a lifestyle as well, and it needs to be incorporated with a level of balance that helps your physical body.
Yeah. Yeah, it needs to be approached in a sustainable way, and it sounds like that's what you guys are doing. Because I grew up in the U.S. in the suburbs, London. I don't know if you grew up in the suburbs of London or in the city. Which part?
I grew up in the city, and now I live in the suburbs.
Okay, so you probably have a bit of an idea of what it's like, but essentially, the U.S. is like the pinnacle of suburbia. But essentially, you have to drive everywhere. Everything is too far. You can't really do anything. There's no what I would call, or what people would call, third places, like places where you can just hang out and exist and just meet people and you know, not be at home.
Socialize.
Yeah, socialize. So growing up in the suburbs, you know, I turned to video games, and I played video games a lot with my brother, with the kids on the block. So I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona, and if you don't know, Phoenix is a desert city, and during the summers, it's unbearably hot. Like, what is it, like 45 degrees Celsius plus?
It's basically the same as Qatar.
Yeah, it is. Pretty much. It is. And that's a big reason why I don't want to go. I'm not really interested in going to the Middle East because it's too much like Phoenix.
Yeah, it's just, it is hot. You can't avoid it.
So during the summers, we wouldn't even play kickball in the street, even though we could have. It was just too hot. We ended up sitting in the garage playing Super Smash Bros. And other video games. Yeah, nice. Good times.
Nice.
So how do you define success when it comes to Ingage? I see here that you've also hosted over 100 tournaments globally. Is that how you would define success, or what really stands out there?
Having actually hosted those tournaments, I don't regard the number of tournaments as success. It's weird. Maybe before that time, I would have thought, yeah, that's pretty good. That's a level of success. I think success, I'll try and break it down into different categories, but when it comes to branding, I think branding is a very, very important part of business in general. And the brand strength to be able to make a gamer or a participant of any kind feel safe, entertained, and excited. That brand strength, that's a level of success. If it came to popularity, being backed by communities is better than, for me, better than being able to showcase you've got 1,000 followers on anything if you're backed by several communities. And that's what we did from the beginning. We are backed by the Philippines or Pokemon Unite community. We're backed by EU. We're backed by India. We're backed by several other APAC countries. And we're backed by parts of NA as well. And that can lead to a level of success. And I guess from a business point of view, if the company can create a level of output and sustainability whilst keeping the company's staff happy, that's success for me.
It sounds like you've been putting like an immense amount of time and effort into this kind of thing, which is kind of crazy to me. I mean, I can totally relate because I've also had many projects where I put like my heart and soul into them. Some of them failed. Actually, most of them failed.
Good. That's a good thing.
Yeah, that's the way.
It's such a good thing to feel.
That's the way I look at it. But to be honest, I mean, that's the way you should be looking at it, because I mean, any other way isn't really conducive to growing as a person.
Exactly.
And even though you might have sunk a lot of money into some of these projects like me, and then not got a very big return like me, you can look at it from the perspective that like it was an education that you paid for that you can't really find in other ways. Like there is no school for entrepreneurship, because when it comes to entrepreneurship, you got to just do it at some point.
Yeah, I mean, my first business that I started was when I was 16. That was a great one to have just on the side while I was studying. My second business was was with hotels and packages, and that went a certain way. I didn't really see it as a success personally. Then I started a tuition business for educating students during COVID. That didn't obviously go well, but it never was my intention that would be like, turning me into anything really, because it's COVID time and we're trying to educate kids. But every single one of them was important for me. Even working was important for me. Being able to work in a restaurant or being able to work in a shoe shop, being able to work. I worked on race tracks where I brought the Queen onto the field.
Nice.
Who died like a few years ago, right? And those experiences really built me. Cleaning cheese off a plate at 7 a.m. in the morning. Do you know how much character building is in that?
Yeah, I'm sure. I know exactly what you mean. Like when it comes to this kind of stuff, especially in the hospitality industry, like it does really require a lot of character. I mean, it builds a lot of character.
Yes, it does.
One of the other main projects I do is working in the co-living industry. If you're not familiar with the co-living term, it's essentially like a shared household, type of thing that is mostly based on like community and providing experiences. Coming back to the whole community thing, that's why I think community is huge, because in the co-living industry, that's the main selling proposition. It's not just, having a roommate or a housemate. It's like having a community when you go to a place where you can meet people, you can do things together, you can create experiences together. And that's kind of what Ingage is all about, and what it's doing. You're kind of bridging these gaps here. So when it's not just about like that sort of thing, but it's also developing a pipeline. What does that look like exactly when it comes to the pipeline of talent?
Yeah, I guess one of the key things is sustainability. Like if you have a team of, let's say, 5 people, and you think you can go 1 year with the same team of 5 people, then you're in for a shock, right? You've got to be developing your people so that nothing is stagnant within the company itself. And often, like right now, we've got projects with interns that are working from the UK to Asia to America, and these interns are university students, and we're giving them experiences from production experience, marketing experience, business experience, mentoring experience. We're giving them ways to network and promote and build their business skills when it comes to esports as well. And all of these things helps with the pipeline of projects that we have going on at the same time, whilst actively giving back to the community and helping them grow. It isn't a case of we're gonna hire them and we're just gonna make them work and then we're gonna fire them. It's a case of the moment you sign up with us, I need to know where you're heading and what I can do to help you get there. And that's how we measure that success. So that pipeline works on twofold. It works on regular projects that all esport companies do and we thrive off, and at the same time projects surrounding people and every individual that comes in. And I think that goes back to what I was talking about earlier about elevating those in below me to better places, and that will automatically take me to better places too.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, with these competitive games, it's not just about the players, the competitors. It's also about the whole ecosystem, the people behind the scenes doing all the stuff, all the hard work like you are, that people don't usually see.
Well, now it's the Ingage team that's doing the hard work. I wouldn't say it's me.
Well, you initially did though, right?
Yes, you have to start off initially doing, and you put in the hours, and you teach everyone how to kind of build the system, and now it's sustainable. Like I don't turn up, and I don't need to turn up to any of the streams, and it's being run by the Ingage team, which some would argue is a little bit of success, because then you have more hours in your day, right?
Yeah, I would say that's actually one of the steps towards that, because just like with any other projects, if you want it to be sustainable, you got to be able to take a step back. And that's kind of been my struggle with the co-living stuff that I did before. And I'm actually trying to address that with an online course in regards to that, because people in that industry have that issue. It's huge because if you have a co-living space, or if you run a co-living space and you also do the community facilitation, well, you're like doing two responsibilities at once, and if you try to take a step back, then you risk some of the business kind of falling apart, and you need to be able to find a way for someone else to step in, so you can delegate tasks and focus on what you're good at, or to just free up more time, because over time you might become I don't know, maybe jaded, or maybe you just need to kind of take a step back to kind of do some more self-development or reflection.
Natural. It is natural. These things happen. But you just need to find the right people and the good people.
Yeah, exactly. So what kind of advice would you give to entrepreneurs or students, or pretty much anyone who's looking to get into the esports business, whether that's as a player or as a contributor?
I think having resilience is key, because you might not always win the game. Things might not even go your way for the first 5 years, but when it comes to esports, and when it comes to your age as well, age is a very big factor on the advice that I'm giving right now. But if you have the time, if you're in your 20s, you should be going out and creating as much, making as much of an impact, and failing along the way. You should go out and fail as much as you can and take the learnings from it, because those learnings is so much better to have that version of you than to have a version of you that was a hit success from the first day.
Yeah.
So one advice is just to have that resilience. The other advice, I think I'm going to steal it from Jack Ma, the CEO of Alibaba. And he basically said, when you're in your 20s, go and find a small business to work for. Don't work for a big business. The reason why is because in your 20s, you'll be more actively involved with the core activities of a small business, compared to if you're working in a big business where you wouldn't even go close. You'll always be at the bottom, and that would be where you remain, and you won't even learn as much. So in your 20s, work, if that means work for free, build up your experience, have a part-time job while you're working on esports, build up the esport projects on the side, and get through that time period, and then look at building a business out of it. When you're in your 30s, start running your own business. I am 30 years old.
Yeah, same actually.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely agree with that. I think there's this old style that people used to do, where you would have like an apprenticeship, and then you'd like make your own part of the thing. Like if you wanted to be a blacksmith, first you go and you be an apprentice at a blacksmith, and you like learn the tools of the trade, the skills, you get a lot of practice, and then maybe open up your own blacksmith eventually. And I think that still applies in a lot of stuff that we do today, but I feel like in today's society it's not really structured for that. And I mean, kind of as like internships, but like you said, if you get an internship at a big company, you're a very, very small part of a bigger machine, and it's like, working on a factory line. You kind of are intended to do the same thing over and over again, because it's the most efficient system for the business. But in a small business, you might have to get your hands, like you might have to do a lot of different things, and kind of do a range of different activities.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you one of the dangers that I think correlates across the entire esport landscape from top to bottom, and it is related to money. There was a decline in esports a few years ago, which was money related, because sponsors asked for a lot of organizers asked for a lot of money from sponsors, and the return wasn't there. In the same way, I don't know if I kind of see it now, but in some game spaces, the prize pools and the tournaments that are being held are great initially, and the prize pools are very high, but often it can create a culture where there's a level of expectation. And I can see that now in one or two games that we're involved in, where because it was pumped with so much money in the beginning, it's created a false culture of sustainability that isn't sustainable, and that's going to make it a lot more difficult for organizers even like us to then work with those scenes, which I think is polar opposite when it comes to Unite. I think Unite starts off as pretty much as an open field where it's not money centered. And you'll have teams and players participating without money being involved, and that is part and parcel of what I was talking about earlier, which is get involved, get the experience, build up yourself. Money will come. you
Yeah,
know,
definitely.
but you need to kind of build the right environment. We need to build that right environment to help the people for that.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of inspiration to be taken from like the traditional sports, because when it comes to traditional sports, the players, the teams, organizations, they don't have just the prize money as their main income stream. There's a lot of things going on there, and I think that esports need to kind of take a lot of inspiration from there.
Yeah, I think you mentioning sports is a really good idea, because it just really brushed a memory of a couple players that could not get transferred into another football team because their salary wage package was way too high, but yet they want to play the game. But now they're not able to play the game because they're on a wage bracket that is way too high and way too unaffordable for those teams. So now their career is literally getting stained, and there's a gap in their CV. Or
Wait, so they're taking a break, or
there's nothing to do because the current team doesn't want to play them, and they are just getting free money. Essentially, they'll still attend the trainings, but it's not worth it. That's not what you're here for. You're here to build a career as a sportsman. And maybe there's some similarities there when it comes to esports, but you know what it is? It's a personal opinion as well. If some people just want to take in the money and do something for their family with it, then that's great. And others that want to build a career and become Ronaldo, then that's great as well.
I don't know. I feel like it's an honor thing. Like if you're going to be an athlete, or like a mental athlete in this case with esports, like you want to kind of be honorable. You want to continue competing, even if it's not for the money. But like in that situation, maybe it's a tricky situation where they're not the ones making that decision. But like, I don't know. If I were them, I would feel definitely a little salty, because like I'm trying to be an athlete and I'm trying to win. I'm trying to compete, and I'm just being benched.
Yeah, but then you got to sacrifice the wage.
Yeah,
because you're going to go to a lower team that does want to play you, but you've got to kind of make those are business decisions as well.
They are, of course. And I think this also comes down to the individual player, which I think it's super important for people to understand the financial aspect of I don't know, life, I guess, because I'm a big proponent of being a minimalist, and I think that's a huge plus in this situation, because if you are a minimalist, then you're not going to make decisions based on money as much. Like maybe you can afford to take a lower income in order to continue competing, because that's what you truly want to do. However, if you already kind of inflated your expenses up to a certain point and you rely on that money, your situation is quite different, and I don't know about that.
Yeah, you become controlled and dependent.
Yeah, exactly. So we talked a little bit about the pipeline when it comes to like people who are getting involved with like the esports scene, let's say behind the scenes. What about the players? How is Ingage helping the pipeline of talent? I'm particularly curious in the EU region, but if someone wants to get more involved, if you want to get more practice, if they want to find a team, if they want to become pro, what's the path for someone in that situation?
So the path is actually being built for some reason, coincidentally, simultaneously, by almost every organizer in the scene. Okay, what I mean by that is whether they are with us or whether they are an external organizer, they're actually doing exactly what we wanted as well from them, but we never even had that conversation. So what I mean by that is any person now can hopefully pick up the game as a brand new player and head over to one of our organizations for training and to learn the game. Right? There's organizations that are pertaining to training them from the first step all the way up. We kind of fall along this pipeline a little later. So we are working more with grassroots, but also with semi-pros that want to get signed. So we're working on that end of it, which is interesting because now all the organizers can work together. And we've built that because we saw the environment, we saw what other people were doing, and we worked on that. So over the last week and a half, we've been working on a website called playunite.pro. I don't know if you've seen this website yet.
I have not.
You have not? Okay, cool. It's literally playunite.pro. And this website essentially has the competitive data from the tournaments that we're going to be recording, with players registering and being tallied up, both in terms of on the leaderboard as a participant in our projects, but also in terms of building up their data and kind of competing with each other to showcase good raw data. We have our own grading system with that as well. So it's really interesting because from the eyes of a pro team who may look towards a roster or a player in Pokemon Unite, they now have a place to actually see as much detail in as much of an objective way as possible. and we have run tournaments like the UFC Open Series yesterday. We ran a few UFC tournaments earlier as well, and essentially we're working with a small pool of players that actually want to take it seriously. Because here's the thing, and we had this experience firsthand when it came to having our own team in the EYC earlier in 2025. And the issue was that there are really serious players, and there are also some players that are just there to have a go. And without a level of commitment, it's very hard to become successful in anything.
Yep.
Right. And therefore we want to work with committed players. And I've literally had over the last 2 days 4 teams that have come out saying, "Can Ingage please sign them?" And I'm like, I can try and do something better than that. I can try and get you guys working with pro teams and then getting signed to one of them, which means that Ingage may not profit as much, but actually you might profit more than us.
Wow.
And I feel like that's way more beneficial for various different teams that we can work with. But essentially, yeah, we built a system. It's there on the website. We're going to work with NA. We're going to work with LATAM. We're going to work with Asia. And all of that is going to be built. So is there any website out there, or is there any system out there that has data from all regions in terms of semi-pro level competitiveness or pro level competitiveness? I'm not sure. There's good websites that have entirely all the data of Pokemon Unite, but for the competitive scene, I think we're one of the first of the kind.
Yeah, that's actually huge. It's one of those things that comes back to what I mentioned with taking inspiration from traditional sports, because there are websites that show all these stats and numbers for every player, how they perform, how many times they kick the ball or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge because my background, I studied data analytics. Or I didn't study data analytics. I studied business, but I worked in data analytics. And I'm a very analytical person, and I think that's actually a huge part, because you gotta be able to look at the numbers, because yeah, sure, you have like this feeling of who's good or what's good and stuff like that, but when you look at the numbers, it can paint a whole different picture. And that's something that I think is super interesting, because if you want to find out who's truly committed to this game, there's got to be some raw information to back it up. And whether that means like a player commits a lot of time or practices a lot or does something, there's got to be something to show for that. And like you mentioned, there's not really like a centralized place for something like that. But I'm going to definitely check out this website. It's called playunite.pro.
Yeah.
Nice. But what about for Ingage? Like if you were to look at it in the next... Unite is what, 4 years old, right?
Yeah.
So in 4 more years...
Yeah.
What does Ingage look like?
I'm hoping in under 4 years. Ingage looks like, first of all, a company that is solely focused on the operations there. By that, I mean, I am full-time into esports. It also might look like a school, because I'm wanting to blend my educational background to teach esports, but also to kind of accommodate other subjects as well. And that might mean a school in the Middle East. So it could be a relocation from here. We'll still have a hub and a base in the UK as well. And essentially, we want to be working with governing bodies of esports. We want to be depended on by governing esports institutions like the British Esports Association or various other associations that we want to work with globally too.
That's actually super interesting, because when I first got into Unite, I mean, when it first came out, what I did to kind of kick it off was I made an online course. So I have a few online courses out there, and this one that I made on Unite is how to get into Master Rank. And if you're familiar, getting into Master Rank is actually quite easy, which is why I was confident enough to be able to promise that. But I do want to take it to the next level, and I want to promise something higher, like getting into the top 10,000 or getting into Master 1600 or something like that. Maybe that's something we can collaborate on.
Yeah, I mean, it's very strange, but my love for gaming and my love for games led me to create Ingage, and now Ingage has led me to be in a position where I don't have any time to actually play these games, which I find it as quite ironic, because I told you my daily timeline I sneak in Unite games here and there. So the good thing is I've kept my record of going master for the last 25 or 6 seasons. So
there you go.
I've got that, but I haven't fully focused since I've been in the Middle East and come back. I haven't been able to find the time to play it like that. But I enjoy playing lobby. If you want to just give me a shout and we just want to play some duos, let's do it. Like,
For sure, all the time. I'm always down. Like whenever I play, I stream on Twitch. Like it's this weird policy or this unique policy that I have where if I'm playing ranked, I'm streaming on Twitch. And the way I stream on Twitch is very, 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 very minimal. Like because I play on my phone, I stream from my phone, and due to technical limitations, it's actually really quite complicated in order for me to have a camera and a microphone on. But to make it easier for me to pick up the game, I pretty much stream playing, and you just see like the game and music I have in the background. And this music is usually either mixes that I've made going back to my DJing thing, or maybe mixes that other DJs have made. So if you ever want to see if I'm online or not, you can see if I'm streaming. You could drop a message in the chat there, and we can do a queue. And that's kind of the philosophy I have with streaming. It's like having an open door policy, and it's like, okay, I'm online. You can interact with me. Come join, do whatever. Yeah, exactly. That's the point. It's not just like the whole reason I played this game is because of this community aspect. It's a team-based game, so you have to find people to play with, or you have to have a community behind you to kind of support each other and that sort of thing. And that's kind of what I like about Unite is like it's fairly easy to learn compared to other MOBAs. And that's kind of how it ties into this online course I made, because if anyone wants to start playing Unite, I can refer them to the online course to get started. And then once they finish that, then they can play with me. No, I'm just kidding. No, but chances are I'm probably too high of a rank for them to play if they're new.
If they're new, yeah, that's just the way the system is.
But I've been playing MOBAs for a long time, and that's why I also want to compete. Like I actually want to go to a few tournaments and see how that experience is like. Because if I do want to make an online course, I want to be able to have some experience to draw on, and I want to have something to back up everything that I'm saying. Like people should be able to know, like, oh, he's actually a pro player.
Yeah, to make it credible. I mean, why not go for it? There's the new season coming up. You've got the closest to you is isn't it London for the championships?
Yeah, I'm located in Romania right now, so
yeah, exactly. So I'll see you there.
Yeah, man, that would be awesome. I think it would be fun to do also a podcast there in person. That's actually something I would love to do. Maybe even if I don't participate in a tournament as a player, at least go to one and like do a podcast episode with different people there, like other casters, maybe other content creators,
other teams as well.
Yeah, other teams. Like someone I would really like to have on the podcast is like a developer for the game. Like, I don't know, someone from Team E. I think that would be interesting because, they're not very public facing. You don't see who's doing what. There's no like representative. Like when I think about League of Legends, they had like a representative that kind of talked about the updates and stuff. Yeah, it was very scripted and stuff, but still.
I mean, look, I'm a very big fan of podcasts. Like I think my first podcast that I hosted was in 2017 or 18 or something like this. I then actually did exactly what you said. I went and actually hosted podcasts with 2 pro teams that came for the Unite Championships in London. This was not this year, but the previous year. I literally found a studio in London, paid for it, got the equipment, and then just did a podcast with Team Nemesis in NA and with Team Antic from Australia. So it's a nice opportunity because they're flying in and they're coming to meet people. It's a nice big experience for them, and it's great for us as well. It's good content. Yeah,
exactly. I actually didn't know that you did a podcast. How long did you do it for?
So these podcasts, because it was centered around the actual event day itself, it was a podcast just for the fact that they were there. But it's there in my mind in terms of as we develop, because when it came to, that was last year's EYC, when it came to this year's EYC, we had to change up the style of content completely, and we hosted a bootcamp. Do you know anything about the bootcamp we hosted?
I looked at your website, and I read an article on it, but I read it like last week, and for me that's like a lifetime ago because I recently took a vacation and
Yeah, no. So the boot camp we did was one of the, if in from my knowledge, it's the biggest boot camp with Pokemon Unite because of the number of teams that it had that attended, and it was for the championships essentially. So the day before the championships, we had 11 teams turn up, including 2 teams that actually went and got 3rd and 4th place.
And this was at like a big hotel or something? Or?
This was at the Giant X Gaming headquarters. So it was the main headquarters for another esport team in London that is not part of Pokemon Unite.
Okay.
So they had 2 very large basement areas, and we basically hired it out, and we ran a stream for it. We had Spartan Tano, we had It's Me Fu from Australia, we had teams like Orange Juicers and teams like Komai, who were 3rd and 4th there, alongside various different all the other teams that also participated. It's about another 9 other teams that participated. So it was a really good experience. It was nice because I got to meet Niha and all these other guys in person and actually spend some time with these guys, but also then see them at the championships. And it was different because for the first time, even though there were people that never attended the boot camp, my second EUIC was an experience where it was flipped completely upside down from my first experience, where I had to go up and introduce myself to people and try and make relationships happen and build and communicate and ask for interviews. My second experience was things were rotating around me and gravitating towards me.
So people were coming to you.
Towards it. Yeah, it was a nice encounter because I didn't expect it. I didn't know how to measure it. Yes, I can hold 100 tournaments, but they don't really know. I didn't know they know my face like that. I mean, I've got my Zenith jersey at the back, so maybe they just saw the name. But there was a lot of people interacting with me, and I found that really exciting. And that was a really good Pokemon experience for me for a physical event.
That's actually quite interesting. So, would you say that you're well known in this community? Like, if you go around to these tournaments, people are going to recognize you?
I wouldn't like to say that, no, but I think so. Yes. I wouldn't like to say it, but I think, yeah. I mean, we're looking at potentially doing some work with the French community as a LAN tournament at some point. I do think if I went to France, I have a lot of love for the French community. I think they have a lot of love for me. I think it's gonna work exactly as you said. If I was to go there, maybe not in different communities. I don't think I'll be anything if I went to Anaheim for the World Cup, but maybe I might. I don't know. If I still have my jersey on with Zenith on the back, I hope so.
You never know, man. I think within the community, maybe people know you, but outside of the community, it's not like you're gonna walk on the street, people are gonna be like, oh hey.
No, exactly, and I wouldn't want that either.
Yeah.
What I want is that I want people. I want it to be a reflection of the good that I'm putting out. That's my kind of way of measuring it. I don't want to be known for any reason or for the wrong reasons. I just want to be known as the guy that was helpful and the guy that was kind and the guy that was useful to getting certain things happening for other people. So hopefully that's how they see me.
I think that's the right way of doing it because like having that philosophy, like if you give out to the world, eventually it's gonna return that.
Yeah, you manifest it, right?
Exactly. I guess kind of how I manifested this involvement with Five Club. Like the day before, I was like, man, I need something else, and then I got a message.
Yeah, look, you spoke to Yashi, who we went and visited last week. So myself and one of the other Ingage directors, we hopped on a plane and went to Yashi's country, met him, had a really good sit down with him. He's a very bright, intellectual young man, and he's got a bright future if he continues. And he's aligned with Ingage. He's part of our team now, and it's a case of just kind of growing his ideas and supporting it as much as possible whilst building Ingage at the same time. And the vision is so mutual between us. So
I could definitely see that because I could see the same philosophy with Yashi. Like he put the energy into helping other people and getting something out there, and what do you know, then you popped out of nowhere and now you're helping him.
That's the thing in these areas of esports. It is honestly, you grow by helping each other. People realize it, some people don't.
I think that's part of the process as well because in these competitive games, I feel like it's natural to kind of tear each other down, and when you're in that very emotional mindset, you're losing a match and you want to blame it on your teammates or whatever. But then afterwards, it's kind of the camaraderie aspect. You're like, you understand, you talk to your teammates and you hash it out and you figure it out, because I mean, I know exactly what that's like. I grew up playing competitive video games like with my brother and stuff, and trust me, we would argue.
Yep.
It was
No,
actually quite
that
hilarious
happens.
because we were brothers. I think it was a bit different, but we would argue. And from the outside, it looks like we were gonna kill each other or something like that. But then after the game finishes, we're like totally normal and
Yeah, that can happen with brothers. It's perfectly normal. When I think about it, if I was just talk about the EU scene or the NA scene, camaraderie is definitely a part of it, and I've seen it. I've seen that there is that kind of bond, but I've also seen where people are unable to handle their emotions or regulate their emotions, and people need to learn fast if they want to go pro.
yeah.
That's a very key thing there. There's a few things that are internal that EU players need to take on board and start delivering, and maybe it's because of their age or inexperience or naivety that they act in certain ways. But you've got to keep yourself safe. You've got to keep yourself presentable. You've got to maintain your branding. Your personal branding is key if you want to go pro.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and this makes a very big thing that highlights the gap in EU. Can we name 5 EU players that have good social media handling?
Mm-hmm. I think that's a
Right.
huge part of
It's
the
very
educational
difficult.
aspect you mentioned before, and that could be part of the curriculum in the upcoming course I want to make. Handling your branding, how to how manage your mental, how to deal with all this kind of stuff. That's not necessarily related to how you play the game, but the stuff that surrounds it. Because I mean, I've been in the entrepreneurship scene for a while, and I understand the value of having a good brand. I was part of different clubs and organizations growing up in college and stuff like that. Even a fraternity, like honestly, in college, I was part of a fraternity, and that taught me a lot about community, about branding, about all that kind of stuff. Honestly, maybe we should make a fraternity for Unite players. Have a secret handshake and
Well,
rituals.
you can do. It is essentially just another community that is, I guess, more bonded.
Yeah, a little more
the way you're heading
exclusive.
towards. Yeah, why not?
I think there is a value when it comes to exclusivity, and I think it can actually contribute quite a lot. I'm not sure if our fraternity is a thing in the UK. Like, did you have any kind of experience with that?
There is in different names. I think fraternity is definitely a word used more commonly in the States.
Mm. Yeah,
Societies. We actually just call them societies.
yeah, but I think they have different rituals and different practices because
That's true.
in the
You're right.
US it has a certain reputation. They do things in a very specific way.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to learn there that can actually be taken into the esports scene as well. Because I think ultimately what it leads to is more of that community connection. And when there's a strong community connection there, I've noticed that people are more willing to learn, to grow, to help each other. And if there's something common that they all share as a prerequisite to become part of that community, that exclusivity makes it so that everyone's like, they have a good starting point. You know that everyone.
Yeah. There's a good feeling for the people attending.
Yeah, exactly.
Understand.
Like in my fraternity, for example, in order to become a member at this specific fraternity, you had to be studying in the School of Business. So everyone was studying business. Everyone had that business mindset, or at least we're trying to. And so we were actually forcing our members to learn things like time management and communication and honestly socialization, networking, I should put it as.
Yeah. You're putting them in an environment where they have to learn it.
Exactly. But I think it's a little it's kind of sad. You mentioned earlier that you don't get to play as much as you used to. How can we change that? I want to play more games with you, man. I want you to actually play the game too, because I think participating and playing more, that's the reason you got involved as well, so.
Oh, there's an easy fix. It's not that I don't know how to fix it. It's that I'm still on the journey to fixing it. And what I mean by that is I just need to make Ingage pop off. I just need to turn it into a success story and retire myself from teaching. Suddenly I have more hours in a day and we can stream together.
Let's make it happen.
That's the plan. But yeah, I don't. As much as I like playing games, I am a 30-year-old father of one at the moment with things to pay for and things to help to do people. Sorry, things to do to help people. But the games can be paused for now while I build. I'll still play. This is the funny thing is, the part and parcel of me trying to develop my business is actually playing games. So, for example, Engage is looking to go into Tekken as a game space. Now I had to go and grab Tekken and start playing the game and see if I can find the passion for it, see the competitive level, see how the system works. But I'm doing it in a very different way to me casually laying back and playing a game.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a good point.
So it's become a bit of work, but I enjoy the process. So that's the little bit of game I get.
That's actually a good point you bring up when it comes to how you play the game and how you see it, because I think that's a trap people get into. It kind of comes down to like something on a deeper level, like how we get our dopamine fixes and stuff like that. But some people play the game because they just want to relax. But if you want to get good, I don't know if that's the right approach. Or if you want to understand the pro scene, if you want to, improve really quickly, it's not necessarily the right way.
You cannot go pro and run Engage at the same time. Having said that, I still would like to go and play at the championships for VGC in the upcoming one.
Okay.
So let's see. It could be a complete fluke thing. It could be just trying it out, but I'll go and have some fun on that day.
Nice, man. So I know you mentioned earlier that you do have to go pretty soon. So I just wanted to give a few minutes to see, like, do you have any questions for me? I think you mentioned something earlier. But if you have any questions for me, go ahead and shoot.
Yeah, look, though, I think having a podcast in any esports space is a very good way to create content. And this is why I was asking, because I was piqued because of the fact that I was doing podcasts before, and I've done it as well. So I just wanted to kind of learn a little bit about you in terms of, because the idea is the same. People do podcasts. There's loads of people doing podcasts in general, but what makes the difference is the person behind the screen and the person that is being. Even within the conversation, I feel like a lot of what I wanted to ask was answered by some of the responses and the way you were responding to it. So it's really nice to see that level of effort going into it right now. And you've got about 8-9 podcasts out already as well, which is really good. So, for those that are tuning in, make sure you check out the other videos as well. Yeah. I wanted to ask two things. First of all, how long have you been in the Unite space for?
Well, I've been in the Unite space since it came out. Like, I've been playing it since it was released. I borrowed my friend's Switch just to play it because it only came out on the Switch initially. And then after that, when it came out on mobile, I was like, all right, let me see what I can do. I'm going to approach this a little differently, because I played Wild Rift before that. I played League of Legends. I played all these other MOBAs. I had a long history of MOBAs, and I liked Unite because it was a different approach, and I liked this new approach. It kind of took the essence of a MOBA game and applied some new things on top. And I thought, it was only a matter of time until there was a Pokemon MOBA, and I think they were waiting to see what it would look like. So I started, like I mentioned, with an online course, and that was a paid course, but I wasn't making a lot of sales there. And I said, all right, you know what, screw it, I'm going to put it up for free, and I'm going to use it as a pipeline to drive people towards a Twitch stream. So when I stream, when I play ranked, I'm just going to stream, and maybe people will watch me. But I quickly realized that using being there with the microphone on and the video on is not sustainable for me, because I travel a lot around, and it can be difficult to have a lot of to carry around equipment to make that a sustainable thing.
Sustainable.
Yeah. So I said, okay, well, I'll try to do it on like the most sustainable version of streaming. And I know I'm not going to make any money if I do it in this way, but I accepted it, and I think it's fine, because I think it shows a level of commitment. It allows me to review my games, and it has this open door policy that I mentioned. It's sort of a form of accountability. It's like my gameplay is always there. Anyone can watch it at any time. You can see all my fuck ups. Like, it's there for everyone to see. And so somehow it's like you're performing, and it's a public performance. And I think that's the way it should be taken, because when you do compete in a tournament, it's a public performance. And not only that, but you're also on stage. So it's like you're performing digitally to the whole world, but also on stage in front of the crowd. So I think that's a good practice to kind of exercise your mentality in terms of getting good at the game. And over time I realized, okay, I've played a lot of MOBAs. I'm really good at them. I have a lot of experience in Unite since it came out. I know the game like inside and out. do I want to compete? I don't know. Like, same situation as you. Like, I have a baby on the way as well, and it's gonna take up a lot of time. Thank you. And of course, I have responsibilities and adulting stuff.
Of course.
So, I wanted to find something that exercised like a.
Yeah, look, if it makes you happy as well, that's the key thing. Like, if it sustains your happiness, do it the way, however you want. If that means not even streaming and just playing the game under the covers at night, you know, whatever makes you enjoy the game, I guess, and makes you feel happy as well is important.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the way I play Unite, I don't play it like that. That's not why I play it. And I realized that through my experience and a lot of self-reflection, like, I play this game to be challenged mentally. And if I want to be challenged mentally, I'm not going to relax in bed under the covers, because you're in your comfort zone. You're not. Yeah. Imagine trying to work when you're sitting in bed under the covers. It's hard to be productive. I mean, I'm right now. I'm in my bedroom, but I have a specific corner where I work so that I'm not distracted as much. And it's a similar approach I use when it comes to this game, because I'm trying to win and I don't want to be distracted. So I eliminate distractions as much as possible. I set up my routines in such a way. But
do you think that even the stream can be a distraction sometimes?
Yes, and that's why I don't use my microphone or video, because that is distracting. I noticed when I did play, I was focusing on entertaining and not winning, you know? Yeah. And I was talking to another streamer, Sparky, about this, and he said that he doesn't want to compete in the in-houses because then it takes away from his streaming. And I was like, it's kind of conflicting there, and that's sad, actually. But that's why, like, the way I stream is very minimal, and I don't have a lot of people in my chat, and if they do chat, it's very minimal. They know, I make sure they know that I'm not responding when I'm in the game, maybe in between matches. Yeah. But
something that it just got me leaded to think about is, obviously, when it comes to pro teams that want to sign rosters or want to sign teams, what they often do is look at to see if you are a streamer, if you are a content creator, because there's double benefits in that. And that's something that I would love to kind of share to the EU players right now, which is if you can make yourself way more marketable, if you can stream, if you can create content, if there's ways around that, do it. Yeah. It's just going to improve your chances of getting signed.
It's going back to the brand development thing you mentioned.
It's full circle.
Yeah, that's why I did that. That's why I stream, because it has that accountability. It shows that I'm slowly but surely building an audience. I mean, it's very small, but it's something, even if I'm not interacting with them much or at all. Yeah. But I wanted to do something, let's say, laterally. And I don't know where at some point I got this idea to do a podcast. And I thought, that's actually not a bad idea, because it'll take maybe 1, 2, maximum 3 hours a week. And it can provide like a huge amount of benefits, because now I've developed a sort of a brand for myself, and people can see my stats, my skill, my rating, all that stuff. So
it's also networking. You're going to build your network up through podcasting.
Yes.
Like you're literally meeting with myself. You want to meet with other people, and we're all relevant in the United States in some way, shape, or form, and that's what you're going to get automatically.
Exactly. So it comes back. It's kind of related to what I teach as well as my day job, because I teach how English, but specifically how to speak English, how to hold a conversation, and I like having a conversation, especially deep conversations, interesting conversations, where questions are being asked back and forth. So a podcast that combines having interesting conversations and Pokemon Unite, a game that I like to play because I want to exercise my brain. I think it's an interesting mixture, Have you read the book Range?
No.
So this book talks about how you can exercise skills in different fields, and if you combine them, you can get a unique result. And I think this is one of those things.
Nice.
I recommend it for you specifically because you have this entrepreneurship mindset. Highly recommend Range.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
But I guess that's my response to your question that you asked earlier. So I'm not sure if we have much time left. You mentioned that around this time that you have another commitment.
Yes. It's been a busy week for myself as well. In general, I've told you a few things as well. And school's just started as well, but my shift has just started. So it's 9 o'clock now. I'm going to be working for the next 4 hours, 5 hours, and let's do our best. Really, we just got to keep working, do things that we can do to support people around us, and we just build.
Yeah, man, I envy you. You're putting an immense amount of effort. And kudos, man. I would not be able to do that. Like last night, I slept 5-6 hours and I was destroyed all day. I don't know how you do it regularly.
I've got used to it. I've got used to it.
That's crazy, man.
But look, thank you so much for bringing me on as well. I really appreciate the opportunity and the time that you've given. I wish you all the best and all the luck for the upcoming foreseeable podcast. If you do come down and you want to do a podcast in London, let me know. I'll try to set something up, and that could be. I think you'd enjoy it. Yeah, make sure you come and see me when you do come to London.
Yeah, man. Likewise, I also appreciate you spending the time to do this podcast with me. It's always a pleasure. And if I do come to London, maybe it won't be far from now because it's quite easy to get a flight from here. And who knows? It'll be nice to see each other.
Awesome. Well, all right, thank you so much.
Thank you as well. Bye. Cheers.